Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We have a very special guest on today's webinar. Before we get started here, we like to do our tech check. We want to make sure that you can see us and that you can hear us. So do us a favor on the chat, which is on this side of your screen. Just let us know, yes, we can see you. Yes, we can hear you. And tell us your name and where you're joining us from. We have a very special guest today. We have Dutch Mendenhall, the founder and CEO of Tax Auction Investors. Dutch, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today.
I'm excited to be here, Rachel. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And I see that we have people starting to pour in here. So hello, welcome everyone. Tracy, excited to wrinkle your brain? Absolutely. One thing we like to say is when you're receiving new learnings, you're getting wrinkles in your brain. And we have some of the wrinkliest brain clients. So it's really wonderful to have you with us today. And can see and hear great. Thank you so much, Glenn. Nice to know. Wonderful. Hello, Kevin. Great to have you with us. So we're going to get started here. And, Dutch, I know you've prepared a presentation for us, but just before we get into it, tell us a little bit about you. What got you interested in investing in tax auction properties?
Well, that's a great question. We can be as real and transparent, presentations are presentations, but it's about the information, the knowledge that we're able to share. How did I get into tax auctions? It's interesting. I'm like a second generation real estate person, right? My parents were in real estate. They had their ups and downs with it over the years. And I think my parents went through the journey a lot of students go through, right? They're trying to do it. They're trying to invest. They're trying to make money, right? And I think there's somewhere in there where I just, I get it. And tax auctions is kind of the evolution of the journey of we built a business to thrive during difficult economic times. And so we searched for the right investment vehicle that no matter what was happening, no matter what was going on, we would have opportunities. We'd have deals, we could have properties, we could have investments during the worst of times, right? And part of that is because we first originated after 2008. And so we went on this journey and there's things that are out there like self-storage apartments that do better during difficult economic times, whereas retail office struggle, right? And then there's types of auctions and there's types of real estate. And we found that, tax auctions for us became kind of a staple, right? It came the foundation of our real estate empire, real estate business, right? We invest in lots of things, but it became this foundation that no matter what happens, there's three reasons people lose their properties for taxes. And it's not some of the reasons people typically think of, right? It's not because of job loss. It's not because of divorce, which is other foreclosures sometimes happen because of those things. It's typically because of mental illness. Somebody has passed away in their family and the heirship, the property hasn't been passed down the correct way, or addiction, right, is the other reason. And so those are the main three reasons. And no matter what's happening in society, those three things are always going to exist. I don't know anybody who's never known a family or known a family member who they didn't have a challenge when there was property being passed down through heirship. And so that's one of the most common ways that tax auction properties exist. And then we started looking at, other things. And mental illness in America is something, and we can get conspiracy theory as to why there's so much mental illness in America, but maybe we'll go in there during the presentation. But the mental illness exists, right? And there's nothing we can do other than, treat those people as best and better than anyone else would. And so this is where this business exists. We buy properties, 30 to 50 cents on the dollar. We do it again and again and again. And I'll share with you exactly how and why. We believe in transparency. We believe anybody who wants to go and do it, go and do it. And if you decide you don't want to do it yourself and you want us to do it for you, or you want to do it with us, then, that's what our business was built by. When I first got into business, I watched a seminar training, just like we're doing today. And a man said, if you make other people money, you will always make money. And I kind of started building the foundation of our business from that concept, as always, is how do I build my business so that other people are making money? And in the beginning, it was education and it was training and it was knowledge and it was sharing education and training. And there was this percentage of people that made money. And a lot more people were excited and happy about the training. But then I kind of got bored with that. And the reason I got bored with that is because I just saw when only 1% of the people who ever attended a training ever actually did a deal. It just was very disappointing to me. And in the real estate education world, that's commonplace. That's the tradition is really less than 1% of people, right? Do deals and stuff. And I wanted to build a business where anybody who wants to can invest, partner, and have the ability, potential to be able to make money. And over the years, we've built a business that is based on those concepts. Thrive during difficult economic times. Anybody who wants a path or an avenue to go and succeed and invest and make money has the ability or has the path to be able to do that. Now they have to choose to take that path. They have to choose to take those actions, choose to do those things. And so, that became the foundation of my business partner, Amy, and I's business as we began to build it. And then as we began to build staff and team, that kind of became their philosophy and their theory and their mission statement as a part of what we're doing as well. And you guys will see it, whether it's through the social media posts or through different things. That's just our philosophy across the board. And the things we didn't realize that were going to happen is the scale of what we had created, right? We didn't realize that this was going to create the juggernaut that it created. We didn't realize that this was a path that was going to, cause the business to continually explode, continually grow. It was just more of our beliefs on who we were, right? And I didn't want to build a business that at the end of the day, I couldn't believe in. I didn't want to build a business at the end of the day, I couldn't look myself in the mirror and say, all right, I did this right. I did this way it was. And I didn't know if it was going to make me more successful or less successful. And I think I let go of that part of success and decided doing it this way was how my partner and I, and my wife is a part of that decision making with my business partner, Amy, and I. My wife, Vanessa, they're not the same person. I have my work wife and my home wife, right? But they're all a part of making those decisions. When we made those decisions, we just said, this is the way we're going to be. And I think when you live life in a way that you decide who you're going to be, and then you let your business or you let your investing fall into that decision on who you are, then things fall into alignment better than you could ever have imagined, right? And so that's where I think our model began to formulate. And I say began to formulate, we're talking 12 years ago, 2008, when we first started. 14 years ago is when I did my first real estate flip. 12 years ago, I started my partnership and my investing. Amy and I became partners in 2011. We began the investment funds in 2014. We began tax auction investors in 2015. So we'll take you through the journey today, of how this was created and these things did. But, I just want to share this story because I had so much fun with one of your members on a recent experience. He came on one of our live trainings, Ron, and he was just a lot of fun. But he got on his first inner circle call last night, actually at 7:00 at night, and he was in the ugliest Christmas jacket I have ever seen in my entire life. So when you said wrinkle in your brain at the beginning, it made me think of Ron because he's one of our newest members and one of your long-term members of your guys' tribe and family and stuff. But he was a lot of fun. So anyways, I thought I'd share that with you. I'm going to get you a picture of that because it is the ugliest Christmas jacket I've ever seen in my entire life. So
'tis the season for ugly Christmas sweaters, that's for sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing that background, Dutch. I know you have a presentation that you've prepared for us. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and share your screen, and then we can get right into it.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll get right into it. If there's anything else you want to share with them while I click over, feel free to, Rachel. I'll tell you guys that when we put together the presentation or the emails or anything that was coming out to share this with all of you, I'll tell you, Rachel and her team, they scoured over it and they put a watchful eye on every single thing. And I just think you guys should feel good as a community because you have a protector and people who care about each of their tribe members. And I'll tell you, I've been in the information sharing business for a very long time. And it is very rare to see tribe leaders who care about their people the way Rachel and the neighbors team and Jeff do. So, just thought I'd share that with you, and I'll go ahead and get to my screen sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I do not see, there it is. Share. There you go. You see it, Rachel?
Yes, it looks great.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about tax auction, tax liens. We're going to be talking about investing and deals. My team likes to call it hard money. For me, it all is our money, right? It's all your money. It's my money. We invest. It's fascinating as we're investors and we do the tax lien and tax deed businesses. I never ever ask any one of our people to invest in something that I either haven't already invested in myself or aren't currently investing in. And so you see some different things down there at the bottom of the screen. You see the Survivalist Project, which is our plan B for families and communities if the world really ever turns in a crazy way. And Rad Diversified is our real estate investment trust, which is a qualified SEC Regulation A investment fund. It's a real estate investment trust REIT where we've gotten our investors really great returns. And Tax Action Investors is our educational company and our education company where we share information. Stick to the end of the presentation. I have a great gift for all of you that are on here that I want you to be able to get access to education, knowledge bank training on the tax liens and tax deeds. I'm going to share good information about that tonight, but obviously in less than an hour, we're going to do this fast. There's going to be a ton of information we're going to cover really fast because I want to give you as much as I can. And I really hate it when people waste my time. So I won't waste any of your time. I'm going to make sure we're going to give you great knowledge tonight. But Tax Auction Investors is our education school. And we're going to give you access to a lot of free content, a lot of amazing information from our different circles that we do. And then the last part you see, economic activists. I believe in my core that I'm an economic activist. I believe in the American dream. I believe that every single American should have the right to earn an income. I believe that every single American should have a right to pursue happiness. And in the world we live in today, finances, money, wealth are all a part of that. I believe that every single dollar that you earn is a dollar that can become an employee. Every single one of those employees can go to work. And the more of those that you have working for you, right, and making you more money, the more that your business is going to grow, the more your money is going to grow, the more your wealth is going to grow. And so we'll talk about things that are going on in the world today. We are in a very interesting time. We're going from a Republican president to a Democratic president, and I'm not political in the things that I shared today. What I will talk about is things that we are experiencing, things that we see coming down the pipeline, things we see coming very shortly from a financial standpoint. We see how the coronavirus has affected our economy, affected our world in very different ways. As you guys, may end up following us on our social channels, you can go on a YouTube channel where you'll see that I said there was going to be an economic crash October a year ago. I said that coronavirus was going to be very, very serious. And as early as January, I did actual statistical projections of it in April and said there was going to be riots and protests. And all of these things have come true. And it's because we study as an economic activist what is going on in the world. We are constantly paying attention, and we're not studying what media or what news tells us. We're studying numbers and trends. We're studying social things that are going on in the world. And because in order to invest and successfully invest, staying ahead of the curve is incredibly, incredibly important to us. So, when we say you invest, right, we believe that life is about freedom. Life's about doing the things that you want to do every single day and being able to do the things the way you want to do them every single day. And so when you invest, you're buying a day that you don't have to work. For me, when I looked at building my legacy, I looked at building my wealth, and I've been able to create that for both myself and for my sons. I looked at my sons and I said, look, I want my sons to be able to do the things that they choose to do in the world and not let finances or let money be a roadblock in order to do them. I have one son who is very different than me in the sense that he's an incredible creative. He's a mental design. He's only 5 years old, but he is into those things like you wouldn't even be able to believe, right? And I want him to be able to be an artist. I want him to be able to be a creative and be able to go and do those things, right? I have another one of my sons who's awfully into sports. He is just a sports kid. He was first word out of his mouth when he was born was ball. And that's who he is. And I want him to be able to go play sports and not worry about whether or not, finances are going to get in his way of succeeding or not succeeding. And maybe through those paths, they'll build their own great wealth. But a part of that is for me, my legacy and the reason I began building what I've built and been able to create. So I'm Dutch Mendenhall. Rachel shared that with all of you. You guys have seen some of the different promos and different things that have gone out about us, right? We manage a $30 million real estate portfolio, 100% in partnership with our students. And there's many different ways that's been created and built. The founder of Rad Diversified REIT and Tax and Auction Investors. We have close to a million followers through all of our different social channels, 100,000 followers on Facebook, several 100,000 people in our database. And I share this stuff so that you know who's talking to you, right? Um, I think that there's a lot of noise out there in the world. There's a lot of information that is hard to understand what's real and not real, right? And so for me, I believe that the more real we are, the less we sugarcoat things, the more transparent we are about how things are done, the more that people can really succeed. And where that comes from is when I wanted to learn about real estate, when I wanted to learn about education, half of the things that were taught to me didn't work. And it didn't matter if you implement them exactly the way they were being taught, they didn't work. And then the other half of things that actually did worked in different ways than lots of times they were being taught. And this may have just been the gurus that I began learning from in the beginning. But then I began looking at real estate and I said, look, I've got to build a model that I can do every single day. I got to build a model that not only I can do, where I can duplicate myself and I can put people into place who can begin doing the work so that I can concentrate on the life that I want to lead, the life I want to continue to build for my investors and for my students. And so over the years, we've been able to build that and create it. And as a trainer, as an educator, I wanted to build a model, not only that everything that we teach is possible and real and able to be done, but also so that if people decide they don't want to do it, they have a path and avenue to be able to do that too. So I've talked enough about myself already. Let's get to some of the things. You know, the reality is we're going into a different time in real estate, right? We're not in a real estate crash. We're in an economic downturn, an economic crash, a very different economic time than we've ever experienced in our lives. What will be coming in 2021 is very different than what a lot of people expected. So there will be, and my belief is, and as I follow the studies and the different things that are going on, there'll be an executive order that passes within the new presidency where they allow banks to keep more assets on books. Banks don't want to foreclose at a fast pace. They want to foreclose fast enough where they don't affect the pricing of housing. They're able to keep the stability of housing prices strong as long as they can. So they want to slowly foreclose and slowly bring things out. So these are the things that are going to affect our real estate market in a lot of different ways. And so what you're going to see happen is banks are going to do what they did in '08, which is create a shadow inventory. So this shadow inventory is going to be rolling real estate out slowly, foreclosures out slowly. Now, I still think we're a year from foreclosures even beginning to hit the market. There are no foreclosures hardly at all in America right now. So the reality is there's this inventory of standard foreclosures that is being built up, not just COVID related foreclosures, but just the normal foreclosures that were happening in everyday life. What a lot of people don't realize is people that worked and diligently paid their bills and paid their mortgages and paid their rents are still doing the same thing today. In our investment funds, we've received over 90% of our rents since COVID happened. Understanding that we invest in every type of market that you can think of. In the sense, we go from the very, very poor to very, very luxury homes within our portfolio. And so we've seen all the different sides of it. And with the hundreds of assets and properties that we own, you know, we've been able to collect rents and those kind of things. And so we found the people that pay their bills. Now, the other things that you're going to see come in 2021 is you're going to see inflation begin to the inklings of it beginning to hit. You're going to see the stimulus packages. You're going to see the vaccine bouncing back the economy. You're going to see the stock market go up and go down and go up like a freaking yo-yo during the next year. And so you're going to see this inflation coming, but also with the 0% Fed rates, you're going to see lending be very advantageous. I think you're going to see the government pass large loan processes so that businesses can borrow money and do the kind of things. And so 10 years from now, there's going to be a lot of risk with those loans. But right now, there's going to be a lot of businesses borrowing money, which is still going to flood money. And so these are the things we're going to see a lot of inflation. So when you get into inflation, and inflation hits, you want to be in real tangible assets. These real tangible assets are assets that allow you to grow as inflation hits and as inflation comes. And so these are the things. Now we can all know how inflation affects us over the years, right? We can see $100,000 home that now costs $500,000. We can see a gallon of milk that costs, $3. If you're in the weird world that we live in with raw organic milk, it could cost $15, but for an average American, maybe $3 to $7. But these are the things we see inflation happen from the time, we're children to today. And some of you may be a little bit older and you're like, your numbers are even less than what our numbers are. And some of you are a little younger and you're like, I don't know that. But reality is we've all seen inflation. We've all seen it happen, and it's going to happen unlike anything we've ever seen. You'd have to go to other countries to understand the rapid inflation that we're going to be going through. And so with this happening, wages aren't going to be what you think they're going to be. Savings accounts are going to be very, in a sense, dangerous. You never thought that you put your money into savings and they lose 20 to 40% in your savings accounts. And these are the things that are coming with the high inflation that's coming into America. And so I share these problems because these are the things that we're facing in America right now, and we have to know how to handle them, how to combat them. So there's a China trade war that exists, but I believe there's a Cold War between America and Russia that is something like we've never even realized, between America and China, like we've never even realized. If people don't take a look at the world and realize that when the Cold War ended and the Berlin Wall came down, China and Russia began planning for a new Cold War, right? To be able to affect the American government in ways that we can't necessarily combat, because we have a 4-year government and they can make a 40-year plan, right? And so, these are things that are happening. Now, we're going to overcome, because as Americans we do, and that's the world we live in. But all this affects investing. All this affects the type of assets you invest in, right? COVID, right, has affected all of us greatly. And so, as we face this, right, as investors, as we face this, most investors think through these things, right? And when you get ready to make an investment, you get ready to think of what to invest in, right? It's, will I get burned, right? Can I trust somebody, right? When's the right time to invest? Should I have invested 12 months ago? Should I invest today? And these are all things that you go through, right? And what's the best vehicle for me to invest in? Is it tax auctions and tax liens like Dutch is going to share with us today? Is it the other kinds of investments he talks about? Should I be investing in the stock market? Should I be getting a CD? Should I be investing in cryptocurrency, with the devaluation of the dollar, right? What are things that are happening? And then there's so much noise out there. And not only do you have all of these questions, but the reality is, who do you trust? Who do you not trust? And with all the noise. And so the reality is, these are the things that we're all facing, right? That's a, everybody just take a deep breath for a second. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff that we're dealing with every single day. The consciousness of America is different right now than it was 12 months ago, different right now than it probably has been. The closest we could have been, is after 08, but still 08 wasn't anything like it is today. And so things have definitely come at us a little bit, right? So, what's the answer? How do we overcome this? What are the things that we're going to do to pay attention to it, right? Now, for us, we believe in partnerships, right? We believe that in partnering your way to wealth. We believe this has been the most successful tool we've been able to see in investing. And so with partnerships, not only have we been able to diversify our risk and limit our liability on an individual deal, but we've been able to spread the risk across the board to many different types of investments, many different types of deals, many different types of real estate, right? Behind me, you see one of our live auction trips where we brought students in, and you can see the papers we're holding up where we bought 4 properties together as a group. But that has enabled us to move quicker, move faster, and be able to do things at an accelerated pace. Because right now, you don't want to be stuck in anything. You want to be able to move at a great pace and be able to make investments and limit your risk. So these are the things that we do. One of the things we do is we bring investors in and we partner with them 50-50. So we go and invest in tax liens and tax deeds with our students. And so what that means is we go to where the county forecloses on properties and we buy them. So the county, if you don't pay your real estate taxes, the county will foreclose through what's called a tax auction, and we'll buy them. So we bring students in and we partner with them 50-50. And so how we've done this is we've been able to take a lot of the risk, a lot of those challenges, a lot of that fear out of the hands of the everyday investor. Because if you go and invest in real estate and you get stuck in a deal for 2 years because of permitting issues, because you have a squatter, because something goes wrong, you may not invest again. If you go and invest in a deal and you lose money on it, you may not invest in it, right? But as we invest in 100 deals, we're going to have a bunch of those deals go well. We're going to have a few of those deals not go well. We're going to have a few home runs in there. And then a bunch of the deals are going to fall right in the middle where they just make money. And so this is the model of real estate. And so if you look at 10 deals, one, something's going to go wrong. One is going to be a home run. Three are going to go better than expected. Three are going to go just like they expected. And two might go a little bit less than expected, right? That's 10 deals. My math's usually pretty spot on. So as you look at real estate, this is where we created this model to be able to limit the risk for our investors. And so we started a program called the Inner Circle. And so the Inner Circle is where people are able to come in, invest in those tax auctions and those tax leads hand in hand with us and not take all the risks themselves. And so, you see our students, and Eric says it very well, what it's like, to invest with us and how we do deals. And I also thought, we've been really intense and really serious. So let's hear Eric a little bit.
Investing is hard. But 3.5 years ago, I started investing with tax.
Can you turn it up a bit, Dutch?
I sure can.
After that, things got a lot easier.
How do we turn up the volume for the computer, you guys?
Turns out they're willing to do all the work while I get all the benefits.
There you go.
It's time to get on board. See you soon.
Hi, my name is Sam Prakash, and I've been with Tax Auction Investors, also known as RAD, for the past 4 years, invested in a lot of their funds and did some joint ventures on the properties, and also done some hard money loans and involved in their advertising campaign. And also attended their live auctions, taken a lot of training from those folks. They got very detailed training. You are taught everything, how to be involved with an auction, soup to nuts, right from the start to finish. You get to visit 150 properties, try to get an estimate of repairs, how to negotiate with the owner, how to attend a live auction, and all the bidding process. You go into all the details. And then you also get to partner with people, with other investors, or with the fund itself. And you get to, so far their motto has been that nobody has lost any money. And you're more or less, the training programs are excellent. They've got a great team of investors who you could partner with. And also their funds and everything seems to be doing very well. So wish you all the best.
Hi, I'm Tabitha from Jacksonville, Florida. I've been investing with Tax Auction Investors for 1 year now. I started off in the hedge fund, moved over to the REIT, had a chance to go to a live auction experience in Houston. That was amazing. Did a hard money loan, and most recently, one of their special projects. I'm going to continue to invest with Tax Auction Investors. Number one, because they really sat down with me, took the time to meet me where I was at financially, walk me through some basic steps in order to be able to get on a pathway so that I could meet my financial goals. So I'm excited. I'm proud to be a member of the Tax Auction Investors family, and I hope you'll join us too.
Hi, my name is Anna Rosandich, and I've been investing with Dutch and his company since last September of 2019. I had been looking at ways to make my retirement money grow quicker. And I knew that, even after years of having had my money with Schwab and with Fidelity, and, they were doing fine. I worked for Disney, so I had tons of Disney stock and everything was great. But I needed more excitement, and I wanted the money to grow quickly and exponentially, and that's what you get when you work with the Tax Auction Investors, and you invest with Dutch and his team, who are fantastic, fabulous people who are kind. They sit with you, they explain to you how things work, because all of it was really overwhelming initially. I mean, it's, I'm learning a lot, which is part of the fun of doing this. There's so many things that are fun about being a part of this team. There's the challenge of understanding so many different things, and they've got the patience. Dutch has the patience. I'm like, bear with me. I'm going to ask you one more time. What does this mean, and how do I do this? And like I was saying, I really wanted to invest in real estate, but I just did not know how to do it. I did a lot of reading, and I'm thinking, I don't know how to do construction. I don't want to be renting to individuals. I don't want to be dealing with loans. And when you become a part of this organization, all those headaches go away. And you have a team of professionals who are super, super nice, helping you along the way and bringing you opportunities constantly. I've done a joint venture, and when I got to see the returns just today from Dutch, it's like you do a little tap dance. It's just like, oh my God, this is so exciting. And with the profits from that, I'm now going to be able to join this special project that Dutch is putting together, which is fantastic, which has a potential of being astoundingly successful. So I'm thrilled. And I've also invested in their REIT, and the returns are like nothing I could have had in my retirement accounts. So if you have any interest in learning, joining a community of people that are like-minded, that want to see growth in your money, which is like, so, like I said, you want to do a little tap dance every time you see those numbers. So I would definitely urge you to join. And I think you should just do it because it's a fantastic group of people, fantastic options, exciting, and lots of learning too.
Well, good. So as our people share with us, right, we have had these breakthrough moments, right, during the last year, during the last 2 years. And we used to just do the education, right? And so we take our students to these wonderful auction trips. And, our students, you heard some of them share, some of our investors share about going on those live experiences with us. And so it's a hands-on experience, right? So, I figure the best way to learn real estate is through being in the trenches. And so we take students on these trips where, first thing we do is we lay out the plan. And we describe, like, look, here's how we're going to approach this. Here's how we're going to go after deals, because you have to market to find deals. You have to spend more money to find deals than anybody else right now if you want the best deals. And then we have our drive lists, right? And so we'll go drive properties for 2 days. We'll drive anywhere from 50 to 60 properties in 2 days, and we'll analyze them. We'll break down the deals from start to finish. The ability to analyze a real estate property and know what its true value is to us and what we would be willing to pay for it, and then what the true value is to someone else once we've done what we call added value real estate. That's definitely something I'd write down. It's kind of the model we go by. When can we get an asset? When can we buy a property, add value to that asset, and make it worth more money? When can we add value to that asset and increase our rent flows? And so this culmination of training. And then we spend an entire day after we've driven the properties analyzing the deals, making offers, being able to get under the hood of really doing the business, right? You hear a lot of people out there do the song and dance, right? You could do, real estate sitting on your couch from home with a remote control and make money and wholesale them and fix and flip and all of this BS that isn't the reality of actually doing deals and doing real estate. And so, we do this hands-on live experience, and we did that experience for several years. And our students were always giving us these glowing testimonials. And I would always be disappointed when I would go back and I'd follow up with them a month later, 3 months, 6 months, a year later. And I would see students who hadn't done deals. They had the money. They had been led to how to do the deals, but they still hadn't done deals. And I was very confused. And then I led one trip with 20, 25 students. And at the end of the trip, I took everybody to the auction and where they could bid on properties far under market value. And we'd analyzed them, we'd broken them down. They had money to bid on them, and nobody was pulling the trigger. And everybody was just having all of these excuses. And at the auction, you kind of just heard little rumblings of the excuses or the different reasons. And then afterwards, we had a lunch with all of our students, and I just started talking to them and trying to figure out why nobody pulled the trigger. And it was just all of these fears creeping in, right? Paralysis of analysis, people scared that what if the rehabber or contractor steals the money? They lived in Montana and the property was in Texas, or they lived in New York City and the property was in Texas. What if? And I said to him, well, how could we put you over the huddle? How could we put you over the hump? And they said, well, Dutch, if you just invested with us, if you just did it, if you just partnered with us, we'd feel more comfortable doing it. And in the beginning, I was, very hesitant to do it, and I called my wife, I called my business partner, Amy, and we talked about it. And I just didn't want all that. There was a lot of extra responsibility with that, right? There was regulations. There was, what if I lost somebody's money, right? What if a deal does go wrong? What would that look like? What would that happen, right? And so after thinking about it, after praying about it, we decided the very next live experience we had to partner with our students and allow them to invest with us. And that was going to be our first test experiment. And so this was the moment of change for us where we began partnering with people. We still gave the training, we still gave the education, we still showed them exactly how they could do it. And at the same time, we began doing it with them. And we took our money and put it into the deals. And this changed everything. On that first trip, 20 out of the 21 students invested and partnered with us. All 20 of them made money. 3 years later, the 21st student, his name's Ron Johnson, became an Inner Circle member with us, has been investing with us now, I want to say 3.5 years. He's a Secret Service member. And being in the Secret Service, he was a little slower, a little more hesitant, I think, than everybody else to join the tribe, join the family. But he stayed in touch with all of those other students over the years, and he did. And this became a significant game changer for us, right? And what I've realized over the years is if you don't change, if you don't adapt, if you're not a little bit different, then you're not going to succeed in real estate investing. And I think this is something that's very really talked about, right? In this moment of what's going on, we have a choice. You can allow the pandemic to paralyze you, or you can allow the pandemic to energize you. We chose to energize. We chose to thrive. I'll tell you, in just the last week, two of my team members asked me for raises, right? And I think that's fascinating in a world where many people are struggling, but they know what we're doing. They know what we're creating. They know what we're building. They know where we're headed. They know the adaptations that they've made as a part of our team and the adaptations of where we're headed in the future. We've hired and we've grown our team. We've done historically better returns wise month over month during the last 12 months than we did the previous 12 months. And so in this thing of when this moment of change happened, you have to adapt and shift and you have to change, or you will perish as a business. You'll perish as an investor. And so, this became our philosophy, right? Now, Rad Diversified REIT is our investment vehicle that we use to invest in tax auctions and tax leads and other types of real estate, right? Now, just a couple of quick statistics, right? We did a 44% annualized return in 2019. Now, we had our first private equity fund we opened in 2015 and made money. Second one, 2016, third one, 2017. And we realized we needed to go through the hurdles, the regulatory hurdles, the red tape of what is the American system for creating investment funds. And so we were able to create a tier 2 Reg A plus fund within the SEC. So if you go on Edgar EDGAR website and you type in Rad Diversified, you'll be able to find us and you'll be able to find our statements, our balance sheets. You'll be able to find our qualification as an investment fund, right? And so in the last 12 months, we achieved a 36.7% return. We just submitted that amendment to the SEC for our third quarter reporting. The other thing we did was we did an 5% COVID amendment to the SEC in, I want to say it was March, the very end of March. And we did a COVID amendment offering a 5% guarantee because we didn't know what the turbulent times of this year were going to bring, but we wanted to make sure our investors were comfortable. And that's just one of the adaptations we make. So not only do we have a guarantee, but we had the super high upside for our people. Then we decided to adapt and we dove into a world that we never even knew existed. 18 months ago, I never thought about survival. 18 months ago, I didn't have 6 to 8 months of food and I didn't have 2 freezers. I didn't have the same firearms in my house that I have today, right? And I'm not some kooky, crazy person, right? I'm not going to go disappear into the woods and get a cabin and separate my kids from the entire world. But I began realizing the world we thought existed is very different than the world that actually does exist. And so we began building something new called the Survivalist Project, which is fascinating. Because the inner circle that we have, which is our investors, which is our high-end investors, people that have become a part of our inner tribe, become this collective mind force. And so we brought them all together on a Zoom call, of course. Couldn't do it in person. Brought them all together and we began talking about, what do people want? What exists? What kind of investment could we make that would make more money during these COVID times than non-COVID times? And we came up with our Survivalist Project, which was a plan B for the average everyday American. Look, if the S hits the fan, if the stuff hits the fan, and you need a place to go to, right? There's riot and protesting, which we didn't ever think was going to exist to the extent it did. And it just blew my mind. We look at all of the other reasons. There's a place for people to go to. So we bought a farm. Our farm we bought for 1.49 million. The current value, as is right now, our investment, our farm is worth $4.9 million. And so this project just is something we took to a completely another level. And we have people that are buying into that project to use to have a plan B with us every single day. And so this was something we did to adapt, right? The numbers behind our survival project are just crazy, right? Just crazy. And so as we do this, we began to continue to adapt, right? One of the things we realized during the middle of COVID is, as an investment company, a lot of our loan rates were 6, 7%, even 8, 9%, right? And because of COVID, lenders were in an interesting position. So we went in and renegotiated all of our debt, not because it really made a big difference in my life, but an extra 2 or 3% for every single one of our investors, taking our average loan rate, which was over 7%, down to just over 5%, made an extra 2% for all of our investors. And so these are the things we've decided to do. But then, we ran into this roadblock of auctions, right? There aren't live auctions here. Oh, skip the slide. There aren't live auctions here in America right now, right? And so as a company that buys foreclosures and buys these properties and buys these houses, right, that started to become a challenge. And then I went back to our inventory of how I've done real estate, for 14 years. And I said, well, when I first started, I didn't buy from auctions. I went and I bought properties, door to door. We bought properties off market. We went and did the hustle and grind. And so I invested into deal finding software. And then I started spending more money to acquire deals, right, than we ever had before. Now, I don't have the latest 3 deals we closed in the last 10 days alone. We've closed $2 million in deals in the last 10 days. And I'll be able to share those with you guys on future stuff as we share more about those deals. But those deals are all almost 100% return deals where we're investing in a $200,000 property. We have a $120,000 loan. We're having to put about $40,000, and the potential profit is between $40,000 and $50,000 on those deals, right? And so we've been doing these deals left and right. And this was just a part of the adapt and survive. And so we started spending more money to find deals. And what we started finding is that nobody else is out there doing that type of grind in the middle of COVID. And so these are all things that have helped us, take the business to a whole different level, right? And so, when I talk about these kind of deals, here's some examples of deals that we've done with both tax auctions and one of these was during the middle of COVID. I think one of these is before COVID, right? One of these we still currently own as a rental. But just as an example, we purchased this Philadelphia house here on the left for $59,000. The rehab was $15,000. The current ARV is $185,000, right? The Braes Ridge property, which is a property you guys can go on the SEC, that's a part of our REIT, we bought for $145,000. We rehabbed it for $50,000. The current value of the property is just over $300,000, right? Here's a California pre-foreclosure property we bought before an auction. We purchased it for $160,000. We put $10,000 into fixing it up, and we sold it for $255,000. Not bad. $90,000 return on that property, in less than a year. Pretty incredible deals. These are the kind of deals we do every single day, and these are the kind of experiences that our students have again and again.
Exciting is we just bought this house at auction, and I don't have any ownership in it because these 2 wonderful ladies bought this house at auction. I am so excited for them, and I literally have gone through this house, and I don't see one major repair, one major fix, one major condition.
Other small things.
And they were nervous.
Very nervous.
Very nervous. They were scared. They even said, "Dutch, will you just bid at auction for us so we don't have to do it ourselves?"
Bidding for us.
And
got the ball rolling.
The ARV might be 160 to 180 on the low end, maybe 155, but 160 to 180. 64,000, 63,000, 64,000 at auction. I mean, vacant, which means there's no redemption period. And I'll tell you, Patty.
It was a score, great neighborhood, really close by to a lot of conveniences, stores, museums, the river's nearby. What river is it?
I don't know, but I'll find. Delaware's close.
Okay. It's the Delaware River.
We're in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's a great neighborhood. It's been kept up, really cared for. A lot of pride. We lucked out. We really, really did.
I mean, I'm going to say, let's try to, we may want to, after the redemption, after we've cleaned it out and everything, we want to put the more valuable things in storage. and try and contact, if we
Oh,
can find
right.
family members.
Give it to them.
I mean, there's some paintings that maybe have some sentimental value or different things here.
That's true. There's some antique China things and a lot of Christmas decorations. So she loved to decorate for Christmas, this woman.
Patty, can I be real for a second?
Sure.
Patty came on this trip and she's jaded from bad experiences with gurus. She'd invested a lot of money in gurus over the years, just like I did when I first started, and nothing. They didn't lead her they never led her to the water so she could drink. They never fed her. They never got her to the promised land. And to be downright honest, the first day and a half, she was kind of difficult, right? But I said, look, we're real. I said, we're going to stick to this. We're going to stick together. I'm going to keep pursuing this. I'm going to keep my nose to the grindstone with her. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to love on her. Right. And
he did.
And
he truly did.
And sometimes when I did, it made her even madder.
Well, no, he was very empathetic. He stood by me. He was hoping the best for me the whole way, even though I was doubtful and hesitant. And, I didn't go out one day because I just couldn't take, it was really hard on me, the journey, but it was well worth it. I really think there's some good stuff to be had, a great learning experience. It's well worth it. Well worth it.
Everybody, man, this is the revolution. This is why we call it the revolution. I'm not like other people. Our company's not like other people. My partners aren't like other people. Our students aren't like other people. We're different. We only do what we believe will bring you to the water. We will only do what we think will help you drink from the fountain of real estate. We are here. We are doing this. We do it every month, and we do it together. And the crazy part is, they didn't just buy this house, and we're not going to leave them out in the pasture to go figure it out themselves. We're going to give them advice. We're going to give them consulting. We're going to give them referrals to help them and mentorship, right? We're going to help them through the redemption process. If it comes up, we're going to help them with whatever comes to the destination. And this is the revolution. Be different. Let's do this together. By yourself, it sucks. They can tell you that. I can tell you that. I mean, there was a time when I was a real estate student myself. You go back a decade plus, and I was a student. My brother came on board a few years ago after working 20 years as a restaurant general manager. And now he's probably, I would say he's more knowledgeable than me when it comes to real estate.
Very knowledgeable, very thorough. He can drive a van of 10 with 10 people in it and still give you lectures on real estate. I mean, he's totally multifaceted, very informative. And he's very giving, very patient. The both of them, the two brothers, are just phenomenal to work with. I can't say enough.
Let's do the revolution.
So there's 4 paths that our students take in order to take the journey with us, right? And so one of the paths is our educational path, right? You saw Patty and they were going down that path with us, right? And they've been down that path with us. Now they've also invested with us, but they took the education path first, and some students do that, right? We've had other students that partnered with us, right? Like you saw Eric and his crazy pull-ups and those kind of things, right? And so these are the paths where people kind of go through us. So I would just take a little time to go through that. So Tax Auction Investors is our real estate education company. We'll give you all of the education you need to learn about tax liens, tax auctions, tax deeds. I'm going to give you a link in just a little bit for free so that you guys can be able to download our educational matrix, get access to it, get access to trainings, videos, a home study course, just different things with that we give to all of you. Then if you want to, the next step in that educational path would be to go on one of our live experiences. Now, during COVID, some people are very afraid of going to live experiences. And so we've been able to continue to do these live experiences every single month. We keep them in very small groups. We put people in their own individual vehicles. We load everybody up with speakers so everybody can hear the knowledge and the training and the education that's going on. Our staff is all tested before we take people on the trips and things. And so these are the things we're doing to keep people safe. We've not had a single person, and we've done, many of these trips during the last 6 months since we started doing them again. We did pause them for a little while. And not had a single person catch COVID from one of our trips. So we've had a really great track record with that. I'm not saying that it's impossible for that to happen, but we have a great track record with that. And we always wore masks going into houses anyways. And so that's the fun thing is, it didn't really change much for us from a math standpoint, because when you go in a house to look at a house that has, you know, either mold or dust or whatever else is in a vacant house, these are things that happen, right? The second path is partnerships. And so our students invest through our inner circle and they join us on the partnership journey, right? And so what the partnership journey is we invest 50-50 into deals with you. You put half the money into a deal, we put half the money into a deal, right? And we both make the profits together equally. 100% track record over 5.5 years of students investing in partnerships with us and making money. Not a single student who's ever invested with us has ever lost money on a deal, ever. Never allow it to happen. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that never happens. And our students have made great returns. You see the kind of deals we do, you see the numbers behind the deals we do. And this is how we partner. This is where we put our money where our mouth is. Now, Rad Diversified is a little bit more passive. You invest with us, hand in hand with us, right? I'm the largest investor in Rad Diversified. My partner Amy's the second largest investor in Rad Diversified. And we go out and invest in deals, and we use the fund to do partnerships and do deals and things. And so you get to make the returns that we make every single day. Now, you saw the numbers earlier, and we can share more about each of these individual paths with you. And the next one is our alternative investments. So like you heard our students talk about some of the different alternative investments. These are different types of deals that we've done the due diligence on, we've done the investing on, we've done the homework on, we've gotten behind the scenes on and made sure, and then we've invested in them first. And then we've seen that they've had a great track record of making high returns for our students. Then we bring them on board, like the Survivalist project, like many other types of projects. You heard one of our students talk about the ad money. You had another one, heard him talk about the hard money loans. And so there's alternative investments that people do with us too. So we're a real estate investment company. I encourage you to click the pop-up that will go on your screen right now, because as you invest side by side with us, it's not about a sales pitch. It's not about, you know, you making some kind of decision today. It's about you making the decision. You want to talk to one of our team, talk about some of the different paths, whether it's the partnership or the investment fund or the alternative investments that you want to discuss it with. So click the pop-up on the screen. Get off the bench, right? Invest side by side with us. Help create, protect, and preserve your wealth. This is what we do, right? It's the whole purpose of you being a part of an alternative investing platform like Soul 401k, right? This is what we decided to bring to the table in order to help people build the wealth they want to build. And so, you know, these are the ways we're different, right? We care. As you can see, as you saw Patty and you saw the other students, we do care. My money's invested, but it's not just about my money. It's like I realized a long time ago, when people are successful and people make money, then I make money. And there becomes this mutual relationship of success. Somehow my slide clicked forward a couple slides there. I'll jump back. And so, you know, we do this. Now, the other way we're different is deals, right? We are, how do we call it? We're deal hungry all the time. It's what excites me. It's what's fascinating. I hire people that the art of the deal becomes exciting to them, right? I'm not just talking about my real estate people. If it's my social media people, if it's my advertising people, if it's my property management people, right? I'll give you an example. My chief of property management, right? She found insurance companies that now rent our properties 3 months at a time and pay us almost 1.5 times the rents that we were previously getting. And we found this to be really successful, right? We've done VRBOs and other ways to get more rents, right? Resources, right? We provide our resources to all of you, but the other part is this mutual relationship, this perfect storm created you guys, all of you, as resources to us as well, right? The small individual investor just can't compete against us. It's too hard, right? They don't have 5 contracting teams out there rehabbing properties. They don't have a set of people that are deal finders out there hunting. They can't order their reels on bulk at wholesale because they don't have those kind of exclusive relationships. They haven't done 50 deals with a lender, so they can go back to a lender and renegotiate things anytime they feel the need to, because the lender's as indebted to us as we are to them, right? And so these are things the individual can't do. But us, without the individuals, couldn't do those things either. And so we've been able to create this team environment and this experience that just changes the game. And so as our investors, you've seen the value that they get. You see how we're transparent in the deals that we do and the partnerships. And this is how we're different as a company, right? These are just trips we've taken, you know, during the last year and a half. This is one of our last Inner Circle retreat we did right before COVID hit. We actually did this one in February. COVID had already started to hit. These are all Inner Circle investors. Every single person you see in this picture have invested and partnered and made money. 100% of them. Now, there is a few of my team members or staff members that are in there. They're wearing the black shirts with the red logos on them, so I want to make sure and not confuse that. But everyone else, and you actually see Ron Johnson. Remember the Secret Service member I said? He's actually sitting in the back corner with, as I point, like you guys can see me pointing, right? Sitting in the back left-hand corner of your computer screen with the the black Under Armour polo shirt on. And so, these are our investors. They come from all over the world. We have investors in this picture alone from Brazil, China, Peru, New York City, California, Florida. I'm just kind of running through Texas, just all over the world, right? And so these are our investors, right? Like I said before, we've made our investors every single year that we've done this. We've been able to make our investors money from our first fund to today. So, the question is, what are you waiting for, right? Click on the button in front of your screen. You're going to get an application. It's not really an application. It's a questionnaire. It's your way to tell us exactly what you're trying to create, what you're trying to build with your wealth. It helps us make sure the right team member is on the phone with you, right? Our different team members specialize in different areas within our company. Some specialize more in the education. Some specialize more in survivalist. Some are a little bit more general across the board. Some are very specialized in our RAD diversified REIT. With RAD diversified, obviously we are audited by a third-party company. We have to submit financials to the SEC every single quarter. And so, there's a very qualified person who has to speak to you about that. So just fill out the application, click the button on your screen, have an intelligent, conversation about what your desires, what your needs, what your wants are. And this is how we make you successful. Now, I promised you a gift, promised you something we can do for you. So this is something new that I've never tried before, and you guys are going to have to tell me how this works. But this is our social media platforms. And so these are ways for you to be able to follow us, right? So Rad Diversified, there's me personally, there's Instagram, there's Facebook. Click on any of these QR codes with your phone. So just pull your phone out right now, just turn your camera on, and it'll automatically do it for you. You don't have to do anything special or different with it. You just pull out your phone and you hold your phone up to it with your camera, and it'll automatically do it for you, and it'll connect you through whatever social media channel you use the most. Obviously, the 3 on the right are Facebook, the 2 on the left are Instagram. I shouldn't say obviously, because until I looked at it and saw the F and I saw the little picture, I actually wasn't sure which one is which. I'm not a millennial, right? I'm obviously older than that. And so, this is the way of the world is today. But through any of these channels, you'll be able to get access to our education, to our content, and our information. And once you're on those channels, all you have to do is send us a private message and say, can I have access to the Matrix? And then we'll get you access to our Matrix education, and that'll help you all out a lot. Once you fill out the application on the screen in front of you as well, we'll go ahead and get you access to our Matrix as well, so you can get access to our education that we give away, so that you guys can go out and learn this business, learn real estate, learn tax auctions, learn tax deeds. You'll see the pop-up on the screen for you right now. And this is just the next step in your journey. So, Rachel, I think it's time for you to come back on, and we can answer questions for people and help people, get any answers that they need. I'll let you stop sharing the screen, because as I clicked on it, my part disappeared here. So we'll have to let you do that.
Good. We can see you full screen now, Dutch. So, and we do have a couple of questions that have come in here. So, the first question comes from Tracy. Tracy says, how much money would I need to do a deal with you?
Yeah. So Tracy, there's a wide range, right? So I would say, when people invest, $0 to $5,000, right? There's a good chance that we can get you into some type of partnership with us, whether that's through Rad Diversified or through one of our other avenues, right? Now, if you deciding that you have more than that to invest, right? I usually say when people have $30,000 to invest, it's likely we can get you into something. Once you have $60,000 to invest, I know I can get you into a real estate deal. I know I can get you into a 50-50 deal with us. And I try to be transparent, right? I'm not going to say if you are broke and you are living in your car that I'm going to be able to get you into a real estate deal and make you $1 million. It's not what we do, right? I help people take money, and I help them make money. And I help them invest, and I help them grow, right? Everything we do in the world has risk. We all know that, right? But the reality is we've been able to limit the risk. We've been able to take the responsibility of the heaviest lifting with it. And so, if you have $5,000, I think there's a good chance that we can get you into an investment where you begin making money with your money, right? If you have a little bit more than that and you have that $30,000 mark, there's a good chance I can get you into a good investment. And at 60, I know I can get you into a partnership, into a real estate deal, where we can begin making money, together. Actually, in all of those ways, we make money together because I'm invested in everything you're invested into. There's nothing I ask you to invest into that I'm not already invested into myself. So that's how we look at the business. What other kind of questions?
Yeah, it's a great question. The next question comes from Matt. Matt says, is this based on credit history or free cash? And Matt, if you're still on, we might need a bit more context there for that question. And to find out a little bit more about what you're asking. But the question is this based on credit history or free cash?
One of the amazing things about the deals that we do, the partnerships we do, we actually take all the loan liability on ourselves. We do all the guarantees. We do all of the things with the loans ourselves. We never have ever asked a student to be on a loan with us. We've never asked a student, even, we're doing a deal 50-50, but we take the responsibility of the loan liability on a property. Let's say we buy $100,000 home. We put $50,000 into the rehab, right? We decide to refinance it, get $160,000 out of it. It's worth $200,000, right? Maybe we have it rented for $1,200 a month, right? We take all that loan liability and we build long-term wealth. And then we take the $80,000, which is your half, and the $80,000, which is our half, right? We can either send you your $80,000, or as you've heard a lot of my students, right, after they've done a deal with us, they roll it and put it into the next investment, the next deal, right? It's all about the acceleration of money. One of the things we teach in a lot of our trainings that you guys have got to really pay attention to is cycle of money, right? If I cycle my money once in a year, then I'm going to make that return. And let's say that's a 10% return. It's a great year, right? Most people, if they can make 10% a year, are ecstatic and happy. But if I can take that same investment and condense the time collapse it, right? And I can get it down to 6 months, and I can do that 2 times in a year. Now you're at 20%, right? And so a lot of what we do is about time collapsing our investment so that we can get our money cycling and get it producing more than once, producing twice, right? And so if I can take the same dollar and it can produce 1 time, then I make a return. But if I can get that same dollar and I can get it producing 3 times, then I'm producing those cycles. And now I have it working 3 times as hard as it was working before. And if I can keep the asset that I originally did and have that asset producing more. So if, in that example, if I put, the $50,000 into it, right? And I can keep that $160,000 appreciating, growing, and I can keep that working, and my money can go into another deal. But I never even had the original $160,000 into it. But now that money's working for me. This is all about the cycle of money. This is how we make the returns we've been able to make, is keeping money working for us and making it work for us multiple times.
Awesome. Thank you.
So your credit's not a factor. There's the short answer.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, perfect. Because Matt did have a follow-up. He said, is it based on my credit score, on Matt's credit score as the investor? So I think the answer you're saying is no.
No. And if you do have any challenges with credit, man, I've walked many of our investors, many of our students, even though you're not going to use a credit for doing deals with us, just either in one of our forums, or if you could jump on one of our trainings, just ask the question. I'll take you through like a very simple, very specific process on repairing credit and building a credit score extremely fast, right? There's tricks, there's behind the scenes things, right? I once watched a Kevin Hart interview where he's, yelling at Jeff Bezos that he wanted to talk to him because he knows that there's scenes behind the scenes with credit. Same way. There's tricks that you can do in order to accelerate your credit score really fast. And so that's something, if you need to, we can give you that advice. It's actually about a 1.5 minute conversation.
Excellent. We are coming to the end of our time, but we've got one more question here from Tracy. So Tracy is asking, just curious to compare tax lien investing versus buying properties pre-foreclosure, approaching an owner to buy them out before they get foreclosed on. Maybe speaking to each of those types of deals, or comparing and contrasting.
So in the tax auction business, there's 2 types of deals. There's tax liens and there's tax deeds. We go through a lot of this during the training, the education that we gave you guys. So liens is when you establish a lien against a property, just like you would have a mortgage lien, right? So it's actually the county, the government establishing a lien. And then eventually, if they're not able to make that lien right, the government will foreclose on that property. Now, if I buy a tax lien, I now become the foreclosing entity or the foreclosing company that forecloses on the property. I've never found that an attractive business to me. It's not something that I just, when I really look at it, do I really want to be the person foreclosing other people? I don't know, right? Is it a justifiable business? Is it a legitimate business? Yeah, but I also don't want to be the repo man. It's just not me, right? It's not my way of doing things. But the tax lien business, if they pay you back and they have to pay the penalties and the interest and things, can be a lucrative business. Now, what I have found to be much more profitable, to not have to allow the government to do the foreclosures and allow me to take a bad situation and turn it into something that can be good for a lot of people, right, is the tax deed business. And so there's auctions around the country that are tax deeds. And so you go and you buy those tax deeds, and so that's, you own the property at that time. You own the asset. Now, the previous owner can always redeem and buy their property back, but in different parts of the country, like Texas, they have to pay a 25% return to redeem their property back. And so that's something I never mind. I never mind if I'm able to make 25%. And if I'm in a situation where I feel like somebody's most likely going to redeem, the deal is so gosh dang good that they're going to redeem, right? One way or another.
Because you have that 25% kind of built in almost to the deal, right? If I understand correctly.
Correct. Yeah. And so I'll go back to them and I will help them do that. And so there's advanced techniques where I've been able to make as much as 40% from one tax deed property, because there's techniques you can use, but it's also helping the other side and helping them as well. And so there's this beneficial business that you can build behind this to make these types of returns.
Wonderful. Gosh. Well, thank you so much for taking us through that today, Dutch. It was really wonderful to have you. Is there anything else you would like to share with the audience before we sign off for today?
Rachel, it comes down to the message, right? And we have a shared message, a shared mission, that our companies, believe in many of the same things when it comes to, how we want to help people and how we want to give to people. And today I just wanted to make sure that, people got the message, right? There is success, there is wealth, there is investing. Don't allow the COVID situation to paralyze you. During these times, allow it to be the time that you win, right? Warren Buffett said it best: when other people are fleeing and running, it's time for you to pay attention. It's time for you to, it may be time for you to invest, right? And we found this to be, our best year from an asset growth standpoint, one of our best years from a return standpoint, that we've ever had. While I see a lot of other companies out there, failing, and I don't think they adapted to overcome. And I believe that I have to adapt and overcome, because not only is it my money that's invested in my family's legacy in the future, but it is my students' legacy. It's their families and their future. Every single one of my students has a spouse, most likely. Every single one of my students has children, and if they don't, they're planning on having them. And so there's a legacy for every single one of them. And so there's a responsibility to succeed. And I got broad shoulders. I'm 6'4" and a big man, and I'm willing to carry that weight on my shoulders. But so is my team. It's not just me, right? I have this incredible team. I have an incredible business partner, right? And so we're willing to do that and do that lifting. And for those of you who are independent and strong-willed, as many of you probably are, being the environment you're in today, right? And you want to go and do these things too, then we'll provide you with a path and an avenue to be able to get that education and that training. So just click on that link that we provided to fill out that application. But I just want to see you guys, make it through this better than you were 12 months ago. And so many Americans, and I love this country, and I love the way this country is built, and I love the freedoms and the pursuit of happiness. And I think so many people have allowed it to hold them back. And now's the single greatest time in your life to be able to benefit, to win, as so many of our students have, is so many of the things that we see going on every single day. So click that link that they were able to get it to you to be able to start the application. And so with that said, Rachel, it's yours to wrap up.
Well, I just want to thank you again, Dutch, for sharing your message and your vision, and go out and be safe and have a wonderful evening, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us.
All right. God bless everybody. Talk soon.